I'm Lisa, the artist behind Lachri Fine Art. It is Tuesday, so I'm here to critique one of your original paintings or drawings. If you have an original painting or drawing you would like to submit for critique, head over to my website, lachri.com/critiques. That link is below in the video description, and you can submit your work there. Today's submission comes from artist Juan Moreno. He has drawn this piece with a ballpoint pen. I was shocked. I never would have guessed that. Until I zoomed in and you could see the actual cross hatching, I was like, no, he's lying. This is definitely graphite. This is incredible. The drawing itself looks very, very accurate. I don't have your reference photo, but everything looks very, very well in proportion with itself. Your shading is great. You've done a really good job here. Looking at a few things we can adjust to improve on this even more. First, I would suggest playing around with the composition a bit more in Photoshop before you actually work on your project. Right now, what's happening, both the faces are going right at this diagonal angle, and it just pulls the viewer right off the page. If you were to adjust just one of those a bit, it helps to create more of an even flow throughout the piece where your eye just kind of goes in this circle, which is really what you want. You don't want to pull the viewer off of your artwork. So here, just making that slight adjustment, and this is just a crappy Photoshop job. You could do way better by doing it yourself in the real artwork, but look at what a difference that can make in the actual flow. And I'm not saying mine is the best layout ever. I'm just saying look at the difference in the flow that it creates and just adjusting the tilt just a bit. So whenever you're doing any type of collage where you're putting a lot of images together, I really, really recommend play around with it in Photoshop before you do your actual artwork. If Photoshop is not even an option and you can print out your reference photos, because this looks very much like a collage anyway, cut them out and play around with the layout and then use that as your reference photo. That way you can kind of adjust the photos that way too. My next tip is on the shading. You put the shadows in the right location, but they feel like you didn't quite finish, like you stopped too soon. If you can hype up the contrast, really get your darks darker. Your lights, I feel, are light enough. You just want to go a little bit darker on some of these. That's going to help you to create that more realistic look that you said in your submission you were going for. And there are little things, like her thumbnail is completely missing the shading that way. You really want to spend the extra time to get all of the shading. Keep working on it. When you think you're finished, put another 5 or 6 hours into it. Keep working on it. Make sure, just do all of those little touch-ups here and there. It can make a really big difference in achieving that realistic look you're going for. For the Dia de los Muertos side, you said you made up that whole design on your own. You did a great job. I like the design, but you do want to make sure, again, even though her face would be painted white, there's still going to be a lot of shadows. If you don't get those shadows in there, everything's going to look very flat. If you want to create that three-dimensional look, even over a face that's painted white, you're going to have shading there. The only time you're not going to have shading is if you are taking a photo with a flash. It flattens everything out. So when you're looking for reference photos, especially if you're newer to portraits, I really recommend avoid using reference photos where a flash was used, because it makes it so hard to see the dimension that you need to create the 3D, that realistic look, and know where those shadows go, where you want to hype things up. You'll hear a lot where people will tell you don't work from photograph because it's flat. Your work will look flat. I absolutely do not agree with that. I don't feel that my work looks flat at all, and I work from photograph all the time. It's about choosing the right photograph though, so that you can see the dimension, you can see where to put the shadows to make it look three-dimensional. My last tip is on her hair. If you want hair to look more realistic, you want to look at it in terms of clumps of shadows and highlights instead of the individual strands. Working with a pen, it makes it really easy to just draw in each individual strand, but no matter how many lines you put, it will never look realistic. It will always look stringy because you're not getting your shadows and highlights. You only have an even value going from the top to the bottom of that strand. When you look at somebody, you don't see their strands of hair. You'll see a few wisps that stick out, but you're seeing the big chunks. That's what you want to look for when you're drawing hair. And I do have 2 videos talking about hair. I'll have cards pop up here so you can check that out. But your drawing skills are incredible. I love the look of the collage that you've created. I like the colors that you've used a lot here too. That hot pink just sets off the black and white, and then the color in the dog. Beautiful, beautiful work. If you want to check out more of Juan's work, check him out over on Instagram. I will have a link to that below in the video description. Thanks for watching. If you're new to my channel, I have new video critiques every Tuesday where I'm critiquing your original paintings or drawings, my own speed paintings, drawings, and tutorials every Wednesday, art Q&A videos every Thursday, and artist vlogs each weekend. So if you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. And you can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+. All of those social media sites are linked below in the video description where you can keep up with news, my newest work, and be notified of when live streams are coming. I'll see you guys tomorrow.